Okay, we're picking up 8-4 after having drafted it isometrically, and what I'm going to do here is get you thinking now at this point about how to really think about what are the predominant lines that are going to draft this in the easiest way. And I'm going to tell you my sense of that is that this top plate, if you would, and then this side plate are the two things that you can extrude out together and then get them to work. So I'm going to work on those predominantly right now, and I'm going to do that this way. I'm going to go ahead and go right click. That's on an isometric line, so I'm going to show you right now I can grab everything. I can go left click. I've actually got to do, you can't do this by grabs, you've got to do copy cross across here from the endpoint here and then say at. What that done is copied everything on top of everything else. I can now say change previous property layer. I'll put that on layer 0, which we never do. I'll go back to my layers here, set layer to be my current layer, and the ISO drawing frozen off. Hit a close here. I'm going to turn the object layer on. And I'm going to go ahead and the object, that's gone. If I look at that, little LAST, that's on ISO drawing. I'll go back to my layer. ISO drawing, we want 0 to be our current layer, ISO drawing to be frozen, and we're going to put everything towards object in a second here. So we're going to take all that, left click, put them all down on object for now. So what we've got is we got these baselines. What I now want to point out that I can go ahead and remember what these lines are. The lines along this direction read full length. And so if I really think about right now dealing with these two pieces, I can do fillet radius 0. And let me take these two together. If that line comes all the way through, you can see it. Now I'm going to left click this. Left click spacebar, spacebar. I'm going to rotate it. Sorry. I'm going to copy grab this and this and this, I guess. Is that going to happen? Left click spacebar, spacebar, going to rotate it. I think it's 60 degrees to the right, which would be a -60. And I get that. Now we know that's not right, but we do know that if I go ahead and undo here, just work one at a time, I'm going to left click, spacebar, 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 rotate -60. And when I did that here, I might want to have done this, left click, left click, left click, left click, left click, left click, left click there, space, space, rotate -60. So that's kind of done something. That one isn't quite doing it for me though, is it? That's kind of turning that a little bit too odd. I'm going to do an undo here. Undo. I think I turned that one too much. I'm going to go here, left click, spacebar, spacebar, rotate. This I'm going to turn back 60, which is not correct. I'm going to do an undo. Left click, spacebar, spacebar, rotate 30. So that's kind of turned that way. This line here has to turn, looks like 60 degrees. Left click, spacebar, spacebar, rotate -60. Could that be it? Nope. Undo. Left click, left click, spacebar, spacebar, -30. That's turned it correctly. That one takes that one to there. That one I think has to be turned. Might be a little bit difficult to figure out how that turns, but we'll try it. Left click, spacebar, -30. I don't think that's necessarily going to work, because if you think about this being a correct distance, that correct distance is off that line. So you'll see that this line has no relevance because it was not in a true projection. So I can copy this one, left click spacebar, move to the endpoint here, and now I can left click spacebar, spacebar, rotate. It looks like a -30 degrees. And we have in that right now this distance here line from the endpoint here to the endpoint there. We have the projection. If we would take that, change it to object layer, right? And I'm going to take this now, left click, spacebar, at, I'll just go 10, angle 0, move that over to the side there. We've now got a top view that we're going to be able to extrude and take out. What we're going to do now, get rid of this. Remember it was one deep. Try this again from this side. This time we'll make it a little bit easier by cleaning it out. E cross, E this, this, this. So this is one piece that we'll be able to push down. And now we're going to try the same thing here. Left click, left click. Left click, spacebar, rotate 30 degrees. And then left click, spacebar, rotate minus 30. We do the same thing here. Left click. And if you remember again, because that line is not perpendicular, it's not going to really help us. I'm going to left click the spacebar, change that to the endpoint. And I'm going to left click, spacebar, rotate 30 degrees, spacebar, rotate 30 positive. And then of course this line didn't make any sense, so we're going to do a line from the endpoint there to the endpoint there. Those are there. Now we can go ahead and put them all together. Remember how I talked about making blocks on layer 0, so we'll go ahead and do that. Change everything there to layer 0. Change everything there to layer 0, and then make 2 blocks 1 and 2. So I'll just make this top and side, minus layer, minus block, top, endpoint here. Grab my objects there, minus layer, minus B, side, my insertion base point from the endpoint there. Grab my objects there. And then of course we can now turn everything on, minus layer, thaw, star, on, star, minus layer, on, star, thaw, star. Now what you're going to realize is those 2 blocks will be really what's useful to send out to Inventor, but you can do the same thing here. I'm going to now think about looking down, I, insert, bring in my top view, bring that down here. That's something that right now I'm having a block coming down, and if you remember here, we actually had a 2 unit, 1, 2, is that distance here, Li? That's 2 units, so what we can do here is we can do a circle from the endpoint here and make it a radius of 2. So right there is we're going to eventually bring in our other block. So I'll go ahead and do it, I for insert. That is not coming in correctly. My side view is going to come in someplace like that, endpoint, intersection if you would. Now that said, I'm going to introduce the difference between a rotate and 3D rotate. I'm now going to turn this 90 degrees right and then 90 degrees up. Rotate, which you can do with by a left click, spacebar, rotate, minus 90. And if you remember now, we're going to think about the 3D rotate. The 3D rotate would be, I think it's rotate 3D. Remember they're 2 different. We're going to grab our objects. We're going to do 2 points from the endpoint here to the endpoint here. We're going to take out our right thumb and realize we want to do this in a minus 90. And so I'm just now going to take you to V point 1, 1, 1 and show you what we have here essentially is 2 different blocks, which we can now, I think about doing an extrude by looking in this direction. Let's see how that works. Explode that there, and let's go ahead and just make it a region right now. We're going to make that a region by doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Again, this is mostly for Inventor, and then we can extrude this object, and we're going to extrude minus 2. Now if you think about it, I think it didn't quite necessarily work. It extruded the wrong direction. Extrude if I say 2 because I gave it the direction, or minus 2. Undo, EXTRUDE, grab that there. Minus 2, does that work? There it did. Now I can take this next one. Remember that's a solid, hard to tell, but I'm going to explode this one. I'm going to do a region grab this one, window, and then I can do an extrude. I have no idea which way it's going to extrude it, but I'll take it out this way too. And now I hit shade. Last thing is actually union. Union, subtract, union, here and here. You now got a 3D shape. Thanks for listening. Again, that's just to expose you to some of the way you can play around with the isometric and the AutoCAD and then go off into 3D.